Digital financial services platform MobiKwik is all set to turn 16. Having turned profitable last year, MobiKwik recently listed on the Indian bourses and is now planning to expand its footprint in Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities. Its subsidiary ZackPay received regulatory approval from the Reserve Bank of India to operate as an online payment aggregator just last week. The move is expected to bolster MobiKwik's presence in the digital payment space. Newsline's Shweta Kothari caught up with Upasana Thakur, the co-founder and CFO of MobiKwik, to understand their growth plans and future prospects. We will leave you with that exclusive conversation.
The journey has been nothing but exciting. I would compare it to nothing less than a hike trying to climb a large mountain, so to speak. I think there were lots of interesting moments where I almost thought the company was gonna shut down, but then there were those moments of glimpses of hope that brought us back together and kept us going. So it's been a nice journey, up and down, but very adventurous. And I can tell you by experience that doing a startup in FinTech India is not for the faint-hearted.
I'm sure it's not. You know, it's a very low margin and a very competitive industry. So I have to ask you, we are here at the TiE India Internet Day, and you talked about financial innovations, fintech innovations. What, according to you, have been the biggest fintech innovations in the last 1 year, which are going to give you an edge over your competitors? As I mentioned, you've recently completed 15 years and you've also been listed now. What, according to you, would be your areas of thrust and focus as far as innovation is concerned?
So see, we continue to have digital payments as a foundation of our business, and that's the business on which we've acquired more than 170 million users and also 5 million merchants who accept payments via MobiKwik. Then we also have our B2B payments business and our cross-sell of financial products, whether it's credit products or investing products. But when you ask me, what is that one thing that has given you the lift? I want to say that what has happened in the last 1 year is that UPI has become interoperable, and so wallet is now available on the UPI rails via interoperability, and we have a very interesting product for that called Pocket UPI. And what it means?
How's Pocket UPI doing?
Exceedingly well. Basically, Pocket UPI is pay on the UPI network, scan any QR code. It could be my competitor's QR code, and you can pay there using your wallet. And you might ask, why should I do that? The reason you should do that is that you do not want to enter your bank password or PIN every time you're making a 50 rupee, 200 rupee transaction, because every time you do that, there could be a security concern to your bank. The second thing is that you have cluttered bank statements. All of us have, with so many small value transactions. So we do believe that from security perspective, user experience perspective, and also just convenience perspective, it's far simpler to do your daily life transactions using a wallet.
Right.
And that product we call Pocket UPI, and it has been a fantastic opportunity.
Is that
for
your
us.
best product or most loved product?
It is the most loved product, yeah.
All right. I also have to ask you, you mentioned that you have about 4.5 million merchants, about 170 million users, and on top of that, your revenues have tripled to 890 crores rupees as of 2024. I know we're not going to talk about numbers so far, but how's the business looking like, given that it's very competitive these days?
So see, it's always been competitive. It's not as if that, payments or fintech has become competitive in the last 2 or 3 years. Ever since we started, many of our competitors also started in the same time frame. So it's been kind of hyper competitive for more than 10 years now, and we've learned to live and breathe and grow in that environment, so to speak. So I think competition doesn't bother me because the market opportunity is still so large. Everything said and done, with the revolution that UPI has brought about, even today only 500 million Indians are transacting digitally. So there's still another 500 million left to conquer, so to speak. All other financial products are much behind in terms of penetration in the Indian user base. So I don't think that that's such a large problem. I think what is important is that which are the product lines where we as a company have something amazing to offer to the customer, and where we can succeed and grow despite the regulatory guardrails, despite the hyper competition, and an opportunity to be profitable. Because we are a listed company and we take that a responsibility very seriously. And we are working hard to achieve profitability with high growth, and
Right.
that's not easy to do.
Absolutely, not easy at all. In fact, you recently also received your RBI nod for online aggregator license. Your subsidiary ZaakPay did. What's the growth prospect there? What are you hoping to achieve?
So, ZaakPay is our payment gateway business. I had started that business actually 10 years ago, and that business did really well. Right up to COVID. During COVID, a new license was introduced for this business, and we didn't get it in the first go. We just got the final approval 24 hours ago, and the in-principle approval we had received from RBI about a year ago. And basically, this business enables us to accept all kinds of payments for any online business.
Right.
So, for example, if you were to start, let's say, your online fashion company, while you will create your products, in the end, you will need a checkout where a customer can pay via credit card, debit card, UPI, wallet, EMI, multiple 100 plus payment methods. That entire product, which powers payments for any e-commerce business, is called Payment Gateway.
Right.
And that's the license that we have received. It's a very small business for us right now. It is a wholly owned subsidiary. And with this license in place and some very interesting, innovative products that we've built in the last 1 year, I think the moon is the limit for the growth of this business. It's still a baby, and there's a huge runway for growth.
And you mentioned there is a huge runway for growth for fintech space at large. And I read you recently somewhere said that it's the future growth prospect in tier 2, tier 3 cities that will drive growth for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So see, what has happened is that in the last 5 to 8 years, most of our large cities, metros, most of the users there have already heard about payment companies and are using one or the other apps for their daily life payments. So while there might be still some users who have not adopted digital payments, you might say that majority of the users have. Where people have a bank account, they have a smartphone, but till now they had not started paying digitally. And the first time they start, making any payment digital is when they realize, "Arey, ye to itna easy tha. Now I can do this also digitally. I can do that also digitally." So yeah, I do believe that larger growth is now coming from smaller markets where people also see benefit of using digital.
So, but when you say larger growth in terms of a number of users,
Number of users.
Not so much the ticket price, because in such cases in tier 2, tier 3, or even tier 4 cities, the ticket size for transactions is relatively small.
True, the ticket sizes may be small, but the ticket sizes will grow over a period of time, right?
Okay.
First, you will start with one mobile recharge, then you will do an electricity bill payment, then you will start paying for kirana, and then you will probably order something on e-commerce apps. So that is sort of how the journey progresses.
Okay.
But so there are two things. One is an active existing user base where the number of transactions are increasing and their monthly spend on our platform is increasing. The second thing is, where are the new users coming from, and how many new users are coming in, and how do you get them to start transacting more and more digitally instead of cash. So that is what I meant. Larger
All
growth
right.
in terms of users,
Right.
new users.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, I think news cycles every time, there is a negative news on a startup, for example, recently on Gensol, tend to, in a way, dent startup and the startup community, and also perhaps investors who become a little more varied today. Is that something that you're also cautious about, perhaps not repeating the mistakes of what a lot of investors did, trying to really put their money behind companies who they think have a lot of potential but then suddenly go bust? And I think it's a cautious tale there.
No, absolutely. But I think that I would urge both the press as well as the investors, to not paint everyone with the same brush. Because I'll tell you a simple example. We are sitting here, in Delhi NCR in Gurgaon, and while you will imagine most people here at the conference are well-meaning and trying to network and develop their businesses and do their work, but are we saying that the city is so safe that there's no crime happening? There is crime happening, right? So for good actors, enough good actors, there will always be some bad actors. Some people will be stealing while we are sitting here and talking. Some people will be doing murders and whatnot. I think the same thing applies in the business world also. I would say that while a few bad apples will come out, let us not use that to color the entire ecosystem, because believe me, if I've met 100 founders here today, there are many founders who are continuously sacrificing. I just met a founder who's been building for 10 years and he has not taken a pay raise in the last 3 years, even though he has raised substantial amount of money in his company. And he has never done a secondary either. And I would say that many more examples continue to exist. And so therefore, I would say that while it's important that we focus on governance while building out, and investors will of course pay attention to that, but let it not be the case that 1, 2 or even 5 bad cases become the lens with which we are looking at thousands of companies and founders.
So perhaps a Gensol and a BlueSmart should not be a case study in how startups are to be perceived in future. But thank you very much, Upasana Thakur. Thank you for taking time out for speaking with us.
Thank you. It's all my pleasure.